New reports that President Trump's legal team is planning to file complaints this week about former FBI Director James Comey's leaked memos. President Trump's private attorney speaking out about the timing of those leaks and how it matches up with Comey's testimony.
Although Mr. Comey testified that he only leaked the memos in response to a tweet, the public record reveals that the New York Times was quoting from those memos the day before the referenced tweet, which belies Mr. Comey's excuse for this unauthorized disclosure of privileged information and appears to be entirely retaliatory.
Could also be perjury, lying to Congress. Joining me now, Kisha Hebbon, defense attorney, former prosecutor, Misty Marris, a trial attorney. Good to see you both. Misty, Comey testified that the memo he wrote about his conversation with the president was his personal property to do with as he pleases. That's not true, is it? Because the Federal Records Act and the records management regulations say anything you do in the course and scope of your employment is not yours, it's the government's.
Yeah, and that's the issue that Comey is going to have, especially given his testimony. And I think that's the avenue that Trump's attorneys are going to use, because otherwise, since it wasn't a confidential document, it wasn't classified information, they might not be able to bring these charges. But you make a great point, Greg. That wasn't his personal property.
I looked up the statute, Kisha. It's a crime to convert government property for your own use and then to, quote, steal, sell, or convey to someone outside of the government without authorization. Isn't that what Comey did? Isn't that a felony?
I disagree, and I feel that what he did was, it shows that he had no faith in the Justice Department's handling of what he felt special counsel
So you go to
needed to be
Congress.
pointed to. But what he did, it was not confidential, or it wasn't classified
Well, it's
information.
certainly confidential.
It wasn't classified.
We don't know that
and
yet.
It's in my opinion, it's constitutionally protected speech. It's a conversation about the president saying, I need you to be loyal, or I want you to do, or I hope this. I don't think that it's going to stand up to say that he actually committed some type of federal offense.
I'm not sure that Comey saying it's unclassified makes it unclassified. Seems to me you have to get the other party, the White House's permission, White House counsel, to review it and say, we'll agree to unclassify it or not.
Well, there's certainly, I mean, listen, this is a fishy situation, right? The fact that Comey is taking this conversation, his account of this conversation, making it public for seemingly political gain, because it's not positive about Trump, it's negative about Trump, right? And so now he's hiding behind the fact that it wasn't deemed a classified document. Like you said, Greg, whose determination is that? Is that his unilateral decision?
I just referred to 18 U.S.C. 641 is entitled Leaking Unclassified Documents.
But I still don't think that's specific.
You can't convey it to another person without authorization. Who authorized it?
But it's not specific enough. It wasn't a document that was generated by the government. It was his notes based on the
FBI
conversation.
Director. He's the government.
Right, but we have to give him credit. He has to be smart enough to realize that what he did was, I mean, come on, he did it because he wanted special counsel.
Again and again, has he not mangled and contorted the law in the Hillary Clinton case? Is a perfect example, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the question is, his credibility is questionable. So whether or not you think that he performed well on the stand is completely different about whether or not his account of what happened is actually the truth. I think that everybody is kind of treating Comey's testimony as gospel, but that's not true. That's one witness account of their perception of what happened during these conversations.
Happen that way.
And so I'm really interested to hear about that.
But then there's supposed to be tapes of this conversation.
If there's tapes, the tapes
But that's what President Trump said. But I don't think there are any tapes.
Robert Mueller is the special counsel. I looked up the law governing the special counsel. You may not serve if you have a conflict of interest. It identifies the conflict as a close relationship to a key witness. Isn't James Comey a key witness here? And my goodness, look at the relationship between Mueller and Comey. There were protege and mentor.
Yes, and we know that before Comey's testimony, they were closely coordinating, right? I mean, that came out. But the issue is that you're right, Mueller, he has to be. The person in that position has to truly be independent and without conflict.
So
there's a process of appointing
Here's what we have. We have Robert Mueller deciding the credibility of his protege versus the man who fired his protege. And the law also says not just a genuine conflict of interest, but the appearance of partiality is disqualifying.
But we all know as attorneys that there's a process in place to select that special counsel. I'm sure that all of this has been weighed and thought out.
I don't think it has.
There's no way that anyone in a position of authority is going to do something that's going to jeopardize the outcome of it.
Shouldn't Mueller have disqualified him himself and said, I'm too close to James Comey? You know, agents at the FBI said they were joined at the hip.
Yes, well, here's the thing. One of the issues is you want the public perception. You want people to have faith in the process. If you have somebody who has that type of relationship with, let's face it, the star witness, the key witness, the only person other than Trump that's going to know about these conversations, if there's even the slightest bit of impropriety, you have to step down. Right. It's absolutely critical.
Last question on obstruction. If you look up that statute, it says it must be a corrupt act. There are 5 things identified by the statute as a corrupt act: lies, threats, bribes, destroying documents, and altering evidence. Comey alleged none of those things. So under the statute, how can it be obstruction?
Well, Greg, I will give you credit with that. I don't think that his testimony is enough to say there's a clear case of obstruction of justice. It's ambiguous. He says that...
Ambiguous? Yeah. It's not even close, is it, Misty?
No, I absolutely think that there's no way this is an obstruction of justice. I mean, his testimony was clear. You're talking about Trump's intent. You have to show that he intended to
But then he ends up being fired, so that goes to
the president has constitutional right to hire and fire anybody for a reason and no reason at all. We'll leave it at that. Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
Misty, Marris, Kisha, Hebbon.